Hi, welcome to the video tutorial on the features grid. You'll notice that this looks somewhat similar, or pretty similar, to the Josephine theme, the other theme that I've released with Elegant Child themes. This grid, really liked how this turned out, and so I thought I would do a different version of it for Anthem. The only difference between the one that's turned on and Anthem, a couple differences in this one is the lines are not there, but I have a version hidden for that. And then here the icons are on the top and the text is centered, as opposed to this one where they're on the side. But still you get that nice hover effect. And so yeah, there is a tutorial on how to achieve this look. Or if you have the Josephine theme, you can just look and see how it was done. So with this one, in the CSS here, you'll see the Anthem features grid, and this is what's controlling the padding. The minimum height is pretty important here. And then of course here you have your hover feature for the box shadow. And the border color and background color are there. So if you were to change this effect, you could tweak those colors there or make them kind of semi-transparent or whatnot with some CSS. And then we got some padding here for the blurb position. And then some other minimum height changes here. And then down on tablet and mobile, the effect, let me just go to tablet here. You can see it just lines up this way. So where the minimum height comes in is depending on how much content you have. So for example, I'll turn this on here, or actually let me just get the responsive mode. There we go. You'll see as I make these smaller, the screen, different line breaks happen here. And so if there was no minimum height, I'll show you no minimum height here and what it does to the grid. So if there's not a minimum height, then this starts to happen, where it's not a straight line anymore. There's a dip there because of this dropping to another line. So everything looks great right there, but then you go in and it starts to get messed up. So that minimum height is there to keep that from happening. And again, so if you have more than 3 or 4 lines here, you're going to have to adjust this initial minimum height. You might have to increase that if you have more text than I do here in the features grid. And then as it gets down to a smaller size here, you'll notice that now instead of the minimum height being 210, my media query at 1080 took over and it did 240. And so you might have to mess around with this breakpoint here, 1080 pixels. I'm turning it to 240. And that suits me well until 980. At 980 it goes down to the single view. So you might have to play around with those numbers to figure out where best your table is going to fit. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on this other one here. So I'm going to go enable this. This will be disabled when you have the theme, but I'll go ahead and enable it. And this should be the version with the lines, the grid lines. Okay, so here's our first group, and then down here, here's our second group. And these ones, let me turn this mode off here. And so you can see that these ones have the lines, kind of like Josephine. So yeah, that's how you turn on the line version. And in the line version, if you want to add more rows, you would I believe you just have to, yeah, you have to duplicate this row. So if I duplicate this row, this middle row, because it has the right border sets, it will repeat the grid, the line grid nicely. There we go. So I added another row there, and since it has the border top for that middle row, it kept the border top again, and so I'm able to still have the grid without having the border top or on this row. So it looks like a nice grid. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And then I'm going to go ahead and disable this. So we're kind of back where we started. So again, it's a very nice, sleek layout. And you could also go in and try moving the icon above and then doing center text. I think looks better when the icon is above, like on Josephine. And I don't think you'd have to. Nope, yep, that's all going to be done in the settings. If you do decide to put the icon above, you will have to mess around with this line here. You might either disable this line, or you might be able to mess around with that top number there to space the icon correctly. So yeah, that's how you work with the features grid in Anthem. We'll see you in the next tutorial.